I'm Siddarth. I'm a functional medicine practitioner and a classical hatha yoga teacher. In this video, I'll be presenting the functional medicine approach to type 2 diabetes. India is being referred to as the diabetes capital of the world. It is estimated that we have well over 100 million people who are diabetic. And a number which is larger than this is pre-diabetic, which means they are not yet diabetic, but they are very quickly moving in that direction. Just imagine 200 plus million people living such suboptimal lives. Apart from the impact of diabetes itself, much more insidious is the side effects that diabetes has, like kidney damage, cardiovascular issues, neuropathy, which means damage to the nerves, and damage to the blood circulation, especially the peripheral circulation in your hands and feet, etc. This is the reason that people get, if they get an injury in their foot, it doesn't heal, diabetic foot ulcers, etc. Sometimes even gangrene will set in and amputation will have to be done. It can be that bad. So just imagine more than 200 million people living lives which are so suboptimal. Poor health, poor energy levels, so many health issues, just because one root cause. So let me ask you a question. Do you think diabetes is high blood sugar? Is that the actual disease? I think most people will answer in the affirmative, because that's what we have learned. But when you look at diabetes from the functional medicine lens, you realize that high blood sugar is just one symptom of diabetes, and that also a very delayed onset symptom which takes a long many years to come. So what exactly is diabetes? What is exactly happening in our body when somebody says I am diabetic? What has happened? What are the changes that have happened in the body to make this person a diabetic? So when we look at this from the functional medicine perspective, we realize that diabetes is actually something known as hyperinsulinemia, which happens because there is insulin resistance in the body. In simple terms, it means that the body is having to produce much more insulin than it should to handle the amount of carbohydrates that we are consuming. To understand why this is happening, we first need to understand the main functions of insulin and how it interacts, how it works in the body. So when we eat a meal containing carbohydrates, these carbohydrates get digested and convert into glucose, which then is absorbed into the bloodstream. As this glucose enters the bloodstream, the blood glucose levels start rising. In response to this, the body instructs the pancreas to start releasing insulin into the blood. So what is this insulin supposed to do? How is it supposed to bring the blood sugar level down? Let us understand this. This is critical, because if you understand this, you will start understanding why diabetes is happening, type 2 diabetes. Where is blood sugar required? It is not needed in the blood, isn't it? Do you know the entire 4 to 5 liters of blood in the human body, how much sugar it should contain? Just 5 milligrams, just 1 spoon of sugar. But when we eat a meal, we can easily eat half a kg of rice, for example, right? White rice, if it is half a kg, easily 80% of this is just carbohydrates, nothing else. So when I eat 500 grams of rice, I am actually consuming almost 400 grams of glucose. Now all of this glucose is entering the bloodstream. The body needs to move the glucose out of the bloodstream and into the cells, which is where this glucose will be used by the cells for the production of energy, right? So insulin works like a key. The cells will allow the sugar to enter, glucose to enter, only when insulin comes and sits there on the receptor. You can think of it like a key. Only when the key goes and opens the lock will the glucose be able to enter the cells. Now what is happening? When for years and years we are consuming a diet which is very high in refined carbohydrates and low in other components like fibers, proteins, healthy fats, the cells start becoming resistant to this process of insulin. Even when insulin comes and sits on the receptor, the cells do not allow sugar to enter. You can think of it in a different way, that the key is getting stuck in the lock. This is insulin resistance. So when the key is able to do its work properly, the sugar enters the cells and the blood sugar levels start falling and come back to normal level very quickly. When this key is getting stuck in the lock, the blood sugar levels do not come down quickly enough. When the body senses this, when it senses a higher level of sugar in the blood, it responds by producing even more insulin. See, already the cells are resisting insulin because too much of it is coming and knocking at the door. The body has no option but to produce more insulin when it senses the blood sugar not falling. So a vicious cycle builds up. More and more insulin is being produced. As a result, more and more insulin resistance is happening in the cells. So as this process continues, there comes a time when the body is unable to produce any more insulin to keep the sugar levels under control. When this happens, that is when we are diagnosed as a diabetic. But please understand, the actual problem is insulin resistance, right? And this problem did not happen overnight. You might be diagnosed as a diabetic today, but insulin resistance probably has been building up in your body for 10 years, 15 years, right? Insulin resistance, being little understood, often goes undiagnosed, sometimes even for the life of the patient. So what are the symptoms of insulin resistance? The first symptom is high insulin itself. And when I say high insulin, the functional medicine range, the reference range for fasting insulin is, it should be below 6. If it is above 6, it means some amount of insulin resistance is building in the body. Obesity, weight gain and difficulty in losing weight. Cholesterol imbalances, low levels of good HDL cholesterol and higher levels of LDL and triglycerides. Inflammation, aches and pains. Skin tags, patches of velvety dark skin known as acanthosis nigricans. Also low energy and brain fog, inability to focus, concentrate or remember things. In the next video, we will do a deep dive into how we can reverse this process and thereby reverse all the symptoms and the main problem of insulin resistance itself. You can come out of diabetes. It's very much possible. See you again next time. Bye-bye.